Oh, it's right across the state and across Australia. The sheep industry has been heavily impacted, but we hear more and more about the cattle industry and the impacts on cattle, not only calves, but it's also on breeder cattle and running cattle as well. We've had a number of good seasons. Sure, we're in some tough times in Queensland right now, but we're on the back of good seasons. The resources, the food resource, not only livestock, but the animals that they eat, the impacts that they have on the native animals and native wildlife. There's plenty of food there for them. They love ducks. Dogs love ducks as well as sheep and cattle. So they've been breeding, and wild dogs have at least 2 litters a year, unlike the dingo that supposedly has 1 litter a year. So we've had an explosion, and that continues to happen right now, and they're right across the state. There's wild dogs everywhere now.
Just last week, my neighbour, he had 11 bitten or maimed, and it just seems to be a constant thing over the last 5 years. I had a place towards Inglewood leased, which I had to give up. The losses were just unsustainable from dogs.
The worst animal welfare, I've been in the bush for 40 years, the worst animal welfare that I've ever seen are attacks on livestock by wild dogs. It's just, it is absolutely horrific what they do. I've raised this at a number of animal welfare forums, and it is so distressing to landholders when they actually go out and see pictures like this of their animals, whether they're sheep or whether they're cattle that have been impacted by wild dogs. It's a real personal affront to people, and quite often it leads to depression, and I've seen people that have become depressed because of wild dogs. So.
Yes, the thought that your stock are being disturbed at night time or anything like that, no, it's not why we breed animals and put the passion and energy into it. Obviously, it will raise our cost of production immensely in this period, and then that will be absorbed.
The dingo, the pure dingo, provided they can be proved to be pure, have to be protected, because the biggest threat to the dingo population is the wild dog population. Because once the wild dogs breed with the dingoes, all the offspring, what comes out of that litter, they're all wild dogs, they're not dingoes. So dingoes, yes, but dingoes have to be in an area where they are confined, a fence around them to protect them. It makes sense, that's what has to be done. But they have to be identified that they are actually dingoes first. Landholders, both public and private, have to work together at a landscape level. These dogs travel considerable distances. The only way of controlling them from travelling is obviously fences, but we have very few dog-proof fences left in Queensland or even in Australia. So coordinated landholders, all landholders have to control wild dogs. They have to use the tools that are there, the fencing as I've mentioned, shooting, trapping, baiting. Baiting is the most effective, cheapest tool to use, and work together and come together as groups.